Well, hello, everybody. It is absolutely a thrill, pure delight to get to be with you today. Mr. Cangiano, thank you so much for the invitation. It's a gift of grace from you that I respect immensely and take deeply to heart. He told me about how incredibly smart the class of 2017 at Shady Academy is, and I have no doubt that I am right now looking at among the brightest students anywhere. He didn't tell me, however, how incredibly beautiful and good-looking and gifted and capable and creative and energetic and funny and delightful and all of that plus a whole lot more. So thank you for allowing me to be with you. Congratulations on this very significant moment in your lives. However, having said all that, I feel bad for you. I do. I really feel badly for you. I mean, the class of 2016 had like world-renowned historian David McCullough. Class of 2015 had the president of like one of the finest world-class universities in the world, Dr. Jared Cohen, and you get Saleem Asad Khalil Marcus Ghubril. I know when, would you like to say that back to me? I know that when you got when you were notified who your commencement speaker was, I have no doubt. In fact, I wonder if you'd be honest. And how many of you said, who? Who? And does he speak English? And has he been thoroughly vetted? Extreme vetting before I got here today. So, well, there's a reason for that. I was born in Beirut, Lebanon, where I lived for the first 16 years of my life. I'm an immigrant. My family fled when I was 16 years old and fled because of the civil war in Lebanon that took the lives of 3 of my cousins and 2 of my uncles. My brother was kidnapped at gunpoint from our home, and we got my brother back, thankfully. Our house was bombed, car was bombed. My father was then employed as an accountant, civilian, working for the American embassy in Beirut. And he served the U.S. Embassy for about 20 years in that city. And when the U.S. government was evacuating American citizens during the Civil War in 1976, they snuck us into that convoy and got us out of the country. We were not citizens then, but we are now. And don't want to risk anything. So. And then we settled, out of all places, the first place that immigrants come to when they come to the U.S., Iowa. So we settled in Iowa. I was 16 years old. That was the summer before my junior year of high school, and started high school at this new place, Iowa City, Iowa. And I made some really bad choices that I own, I take full responsibility for, and I will not blame anybody for them. But those choices got me thrown out of the first high school that I attended. I went to a different high school, and I did better. And there was this beautiful, amazingly stunning Mexican girl who showed interest in me. I thought that was kind of cool. And she was beautiful, and, look at this. So she showed interest in me, and I was delighted by that. She invited me to go with her to Bible study. I did not hear Bible study. I just heard, would you go with me? And it didn't matter what followed. The answer was going to be, guess what? Yes! So I went with her. It could have been a Ukrainian egg art festival. I was going. And the Bible study was in the basement of a blind man named Larry Woods. And Larry was an older man. There was nothing cool about him. There was nothing, like he was not in touch with popular culture. He was not eloquent. He wasn't funny. He couldn't sing. He was just this older man who, because he was blind, he dressed kind of funkily. But every single week for Bible study in Larry's basement, between 90 and 100 high school students showed up. They're like, what the heck? 100 kids coming to Bible study in Larry's basement. Why? He just loved us and told us that our lives mattered. He saw value in us and, saw metaphorically value in us and cared deeply about us and just told us over and over and over again that your life matters. Don't take any of it for granted. And everybody's life matters. None of it is to be taken for granted. And he just suggested that maybe a life worth living demonstrates at its core that conviction that our lives matter, their lives matter, and our purpose in life is perhaps to invest in ensuring that this beauty and sanctity of human life is preserved and elevated in every form. In 2009, President Obama hosted the G20 summit here in Pittsburgh. I don't know if any of you remember that. 2009 was a while back, but you were thinking human beings then. So he hosted the G20 summit in Pittsburgh, and the leaders of the 20 largest economies in the world were here, and that was a great honor for Pittsburgh. Then our First Lady, Mrs. Obama, hosted the first spouses, men and women, and she wanted to show them some of the great things about life in America, including public education in America. So she hosted the first spouses for a day at one of our public schools in the city of Pittsburgh called Kappa, our creative and performing arts high school right downtown. And she hosted them and wanted our kids to perform for them, and she invited some of her own friends who are performers to also be on stage and share the stage with our students. And I wanted desperately to be in that room on that day. I was not invited. I understand. However, I begged, I pleaded, I bribed, I did everything that I thought could possibly get me an invitation to that event. And I submitted my social security number, and they did the security check on me, and finally said, we don't know what to do with you. Like, there's not a reason for you to be in the audience. I said, well, what if you gave me a job? Give me a job. I'll do anything. So they did. They gave me a job. I was the doorman for the first spouses as they came in and out of the building. I was happy to be the doorman. It was a great honor to be the doorman, to come to within 3 or 4 feet of these amazing people from across the globe. And I was told that I could not come any closer than 3 or 4 feet, and I should not reach out to try to shake hands with anybody because they knew that I'm a big fan of Mrs. Obama. The first spouses started coming in the building, and I would open the door and close it behind them, and so on. I did that, and Mrs. Obama and Mrs. Sarkozy, who was the first lady of France, were the last two to come into the building. I opened the door for them, did not shake Mrs. Obama's hand. I did not reach for a hug, tempted, didn't do it. But I did make eye contact. I did. And I'm told that she's not stopped thinking about that. I've been inspired by Kylie Jenner to think about amazing things. So made eye contact. They went inside. Our students performed. Mrs. Obama gave a brilliant speech. And then she invited her friends, the artists, to also perform. And the 3 that she had invited for that event were, let me see if you are any of you fans, all of you, any of you fans of any of these artists. One was Trisha Yearwood. Any Trisha Yearwood fans? 4 of you, okay. Pop artist Sarah Bareilles. Any Sarah Bareilles fans? Okay, 40 of you. And then hip-hop artist Yo-Yo Ma. Anybody Yo-Yo Ma fans? All right. So the 3 of them performed, and now the event is winding down. The first spouses, we did not want to create mayhem in the hallway, so we dismissed the first spouses first with their delegations. And then in order to keep our students entertained, we had them have a Q&A time with the 3 artists. So here we have young, aspiring artists with 3 very well-known artists and accomplished artists, and they're having this exchange. The students asked questions, the artists answered. They were all terrific. The last question was, tell us please about an embarrassing moment that you had when you were on stage. Sarah Bareilles went first, and she said, that her most embarrassing moment on stage happened when she was performing in a high school gymnasium to an audience of high school and middle school students, and then she slipped into what she called her potty mouth moment, and she used inappropriate language. And for Sarah, that was the most embarrassing thing that she could think of at that moment. Trisha Yearwood talked about showing up for a concert in London, and it was a packed house, sold-out audience. She sang the first song, and after the first song, she lost her voice and could not perform any longer, gave everybody rain checks, came back a year later, same venue, same audience, sang the first song, lost her voice again after the first song, and she was allergic to something in that venue. Yo-Yo Ma got up and he said, I have moments like these, and I have moments that are more embarrassing than these, but the most embarrassing moments, and he used the plural word, the most embarrassing moments for me when I'm on stage come when I get up on stage and I forget why I'm on stage. I forget why. He didn't say, I forget how to play the cello, how to interpret a classical piece, how to play with an orchestra. No, I forget why. My purpose for being on stage. I've not stopped thinking about that. I don't want to forget why I am on stage. And I certainly want to charge you today, if you don't already know the answer why for you, to spend this summer and the rest of your life asking, why did I get the opportunities that I got? Why am I in the place where I am? And why am I in relationships with the people where I am in relationship? And to what end will I live my life? I was 14 years old when I said my first prayer, at least the one that I remember. And my first prayer when I was 14 years old is still my prayer now at the age of 56. It was a short prayer, and it just went something like this. God, I want my life to count. That was my prayer as a 14-year-old, and that's my prayer as a 56-year-old. And I trust that will be my prayer for however long I get to live. I want my life to count. And there's a difference between living our lives, spending our lives, or investing our lives. You are among the most blessed of generations. And my charge to you, if you would allow me to give you one, is to pause and ask that question, and then for me to hope that the answer for you will be, I want to invest my life in being an agent of change in this world so that that wonder and sanctity of being human is guarded and elevated for as long as I have breath. May you always, always, always remember and never forget why you are on stage. Congratulations, class of 2017.